In 2020, the world turned on its head as the COVID-19 pandemic led to a nationwide lockdown. The real estate industry, like so many others during those uncertain times, was struck hard. But life in lockdown turned out to be as unpredictable as it was disruptive. And as the pandemic wore on, a curious reality began to emerge across United States housing markets.
So what's interesting about, if I look back to March of 2020 when everything kind of started happening, I was fully preparing myself and my family like, hey guys, I might not have a paycheck this year. This could be the end. And the complete opposite happened.
Welcome to Hampton Roads, a thriving economy in coastal Virginia and Northeast Carolina. Home to the world's largest naval base, the region attracts a growing population drawn to the beachfront lifestyle.
Well, each city is going to have their own draw. I think for Chesapeake, one of the biggest draws for them are their schools. People will call and they've never been into this area before, and they'll specifically say, I want my child to either go to Hickory, Great Bridge, or Grassfield.
I love Chesapeake because it's just very family oriented. It's close to everything, but you still have your suburbs. When we dine out, we love going to Norfolk because we love mom and pop restaurants. Virginia Beach, obviously, have the ocean front. And then there's beauty up in Yorktown and Williamsburg. It is kind of a totally different place where you have tree-lined streets and history. And the best thing is you're surrounded by water.
Pre-pandemic, residential hubs like Hampton Roads were already a desirable place to live. There was no shortage of home buyers. So what happened to kick this market into high gear?
What I believe happened was our spring market never came to fruition because of COVID. COVID hit in March. Usually April 1 is the deadline for people trying to get their house on the market for the spring market. They weren't sure what was going to happen with the whole pandemic, didn't know which way everything was going to go, so the sellers held on to their inventory and they didn't want to move.
The pandemic, I think, plays a part in it. People sat around, saved a lot of money, the interest rates are rock bottom.
The reasons for the sudden demand in housing weren't immediately clear, but the result was undeniable.
We track inventory by month supply of inventory. If it's less than 3 months supply of inventory, it's considered a seller's market. Normal market's about 4 to 5 months. If it's more than that, it's a buyer's market. But right now across the board, all markets are seller's markets.
By early 2021, Hampton Roads was in the midst of the most aggressive seller's market in living history. Demand for houses drastically outstripped supply, sellers raked in offers. But what about buyers?
So I had a transaction recently. He was 19 years old. His price range was not very high. Right out the gate, we were going to have an issue trying to find him something because there's not a lot of inventory in that range.
We would be searching every day on, Zillow and Realtor.com, and we'd see one and send it to Keisha, but she'd be like, nope, already under contract.
Yeah.
And so we'd be like, ah.
I know, we'd just sit around there like, come on, please, Keisha. I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Honestly, we didn't look at a ton of houses, honestly, because there was actually literally nothing on the market.
And finding a house to look at was just the beginning.
Part of what we do in our buyer's counseling session is we got to make sure that when we find the right house, they're ready to go. Because a lot of times when they're looking at the house, there's people standing ahead of them and standing behind them, looking at the same house.
The market is the craziest that I've ever seen, just like my mom said. If you're not there within the first couple of days, you have no shot. The seller's going to take the highest and best.
It was definitely very stressful because we were like, oh, we have to be the first ones to see it, be the first ones to put in an offer.
Yeah, trying to okay, I need to leave work, tell my boss real quick, Keisha's like, let's go,
Home buyers everywhere were prepped for the skyrocketing demand. Be ready, they were told. Move quickly. But this urgency wasn't the only downstream effect of a hot market. Realtors urged their clients to put all their cards on the table. And if your hand wasn't high, well, you'd stand no chance.
Preparing the buyer so that they know what type of money that they're going to have in order to compete, and then it's going to be their decision whether or not they're going to be able to play the game.
It's no secret that buying a home doesn't come cheap. But the negotiation that typically happens between a buyer and a seller, pricing, repairs, closing costs, it all hinges on the market. What room is there to compromise when a seller holds all the cards?
As a buyer, it's really nerve-wracking, right? Like, it's a great time to be a seller in this market. It's a horrible time to be a buyer.
Walking in, setting the expectation, even though it's heartbreaking, I have to say, here's what the competition's offering. They're offering over asking price. They're guaranteeing if it doesn't appraise that they'll come up with cash. They're doing home inspections for informational purposes only.
The very first house we went and looked at, as I told you, I'm a very decisive person, and I went in it knowing unless there's anything catastrophically wrong, I intend to buy this house today. And we put in the contract, and we put in what I thought was a very strong and solid contract. And the seller's realtor came back and said, "I'm sorry, but somebody did better." And I thought, how can you do better than $30,000 above asking?
What was better than $30,000 above asking? $40,000? $50,000? Cash offer, no repairs, no contingencies. Buyers were at war, and the fight was real.
We lived in Westport, Connecticut since 1981 to 2019. We raised our family there. But by 2018, 2019, our sons were grown and gone. I said, it's time for us to go, and I was ready.
We came down kind of on a trial basis and really liked Norfolk a lot. It was a 2-month period of crazy because the market here was going through a big upward swing, which we didn't realize at the time. You could see it in the rearview mirror. You couldn't see it at the time.
So I, started showing them some properties, found one house. We wrote an offer. We went in, I think we were $45,000 over list price. And we did not get it. We were number 2.
I said, well, okay, just as a crazy idea, offer the people that are under contract $50,000 to walk, and we'll give them the money and we'll take the house. They were, Kim said, are you serious? And I said, I'm dead serious. So we offered them $50,000 to take a hike. They declined. And even though I said I wouldn't be disappointed, I was disappointed.
Peter and Joanne weren't the only disappointed buyers on the block, but beyond the frustration of what seemed like near impossible competition, a deeper problem was emerging.
When it comes to Norfolk, you're going to have a lot of military, especially in the Larchmont area, right off of Hampton Boulevard. High concentration there because the base is right there.
There's always an influx of people. There's always going to be new buyers. There's always going to be people selling because people are transitioning in and out all the time.
As a national military stronghold, servicemen and women move in and out of the Hampton Roads area on a near constant basis.
Well, obviously, this is Hampton Roads, which is the home of the largest naval station literally in the world. The Naval Operating Base in Norfolk is where most of my clients come from. But that said, we also have Oceana, we have Little Creek. But as far as the military being omnipresent, it's very much here. This is Navy Central.
Military buyers are in many ways like any other home buyers. They make their offer and they cross their fingers. But often, those in service are also under pressure to find a home in a matter of days.
Especially lower ranking members of the military. You could be here today, going tomorrow is definitely real.
A lot of the military bulletin boards that Joanne goes on, a lot of the service people were really very despondent because they were making offers. They were going to be transferred into Norfolk. They had to have a place to live, and they just couldn't get a place because they would make an offer, they would get outbid. They would make an offer, they would get outbid. So after people were having that happen 4 and 5 times.
With there being such a shortage and so much competition for those military buyers, my fear, because if those military people can't buy here, and now they're renting, what's going to happen is in 3 years is going to happen again because those military people aren't rotating out of houses that they bought and they're no longer selling them.
It's been a long couple of years. For home buyers, it's been marked by heartbreak, stress, and lowered expectations. The question for many is the end in sight?
What I am starting to see is that there are more and more houses coming on the market. However, the demand is still there. We haven't satisfied that demand.
It's gonna be a gradual recovery from such an unprecedented shift in buyer behavior. But the message coming from real estate professionals is unanimous. It will recover.
I've got a buyer right now. We've been 8 offers and she's given up on me. I haven't given up on her because I know the market's going to turn, but you just have to be their cheerleader and their encourager and available when they want to talk, and just have everything lined up so that way when all the stars align, they get the keys to their house.
The right one will come along if they're willing to stick it out. We know that. We've seen it. We've lived it. You just stick and stay and we will find the one.
And for many who played the game and won, the pain of the search feels like a distant memory. The joy of finding the one, making that struggle worthwhile.
It's been a great home so far. We love the area. Don't have to do the dishes right away. I can do them later because it's my house. I do whatever I want.
Yep. That's a really fun thing to be like, okay, I'm going home to my house.
Taking care of other families is the most important thing. That's why we do it. I can tell you that. That's why we do it.